Blessings. Blessings. Blessings and welcome. Blessings. It is such a gift to be with you here on this beautiful day. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is 4D Trinity. It is my weekly live stream where we bridge fourth dimensional consciousness through the unity of mind, body, and emotions with spirit. From this place of bridging mind, body, and emotions with spirit, we become turned on to light, turned on to love, turned on to the now, to the knowing that the now is all there is. And in that knowing, in that nowing of thyself and of that all that is, we bridge fourth dimensional consciousness. We bridge heaven on earth realization through our energy body. And we bring and we take that heaven on earth with us wherever we go. So a few little introductions before we get started on today's themes. Again, I am Tuesday May Thomas, and I'm so grateful for these communities at YouTube and on Instagram. Soon this show will be live on Facebook as well. And I'm so grateful. The premise for a lot of these teachings is encapsulated in a book I'm working on called Holy Grail Hologram. And the book is a companion to a film that is coming into vision, that is coming into being, called Grid Mind Science. At Instagram, I have the tag Grid Mind Science, that page. And thank you everyone for following there and for supporting that project of making this film, of making a metaphysical film that depicts how energy works in the universe, how we are intimately connected to that energy, and how everything we do, think, speak, and embody is incorporated in that energy. Yet what is beyond the 3D grid matrix is the now, is that plane of love and only love that is accessible through the heart center, that we begin to see through the veils with the third eye. And then we gain access way, and we learn to navigate our places, our spaces in that realm. So Grid Mind Science is a movie project I'm working on. I'm so excited. In 2020, I will be presenting a lecture on Grid Mind Science, on the teachings, and sharing a bit about the movie. And I'm so very excited for that. So thank you for your support in that. I am an author. I have books, and they are all listed down in the Show More description box here at YouTube. And if you are on Instagram, you can go to my website, tuesdaymaythomas.com, and have access to all of my offerings there. I'm also very excited for in the new year, I will be sharing online courses, teleseminars on everything from my REIKI energy school, and we will be developing a grid school, a grid mind school, and so much more. So please stay posted. Stay tuned, and you can join my monthly love letter where we can all keep in touch. Every month I send out a newsletter that I call a love letter, and I share information about where I'm at and the teachings and the things that are really a blessing in my life. And I'm so very grateful to stay in touch with you. So if you're interested in that, do sign up. I'm going to be sending out our next love letter this weekend. So let's get into today's topic. And there's a few themes that are going to be woven together, and they include Kali, the deity, Kali Ma, and I just remembered I have to bring her over here, so pardon me 1 second. I have a picture of her from Malaysia that we are going to have a look at in a little while, but she was over at the altar, so I just want to make sure that she's a part of our gathering here. So Kali Ma, detachment and energy protection. Yes, energy projection. Energy protection. Kind of the same thing. So when we think about it, right, and I'm going to be reading a few notes that came through last night. Life is an exchange of energy, right? We come to learn this as we deepen our spiritual path, as we deepen our access to our spirituality. We begin to understand that we are energy. We begin to understand that other people are energy and that everything in this universe is that energy, people, places, and things. And deeper still, we come to realize that there is an exchange of energy. Well, let's backtrack just a little bit. And I want to share with you this idea that when we do come into a physical form here on this planet, we are birthed into a ring of light. And this ring of light holds us steady. And this ring of light is that which reinforces our authentic, intuitive knowing of the now, our knowing of love and only love, and that love is the truth. I'm going to read a little bit more. So we realize that everything is energy, and we establish that everything is energy. So where you put the energy you have is where it will show up for you. And why is that? Because like attracts like, right? We begin to learn this deeply in our spiritual practices. Your ring of light is your light body nowness. The now is always here in your heart. And imagine it surrounds you as a ring of light. It sets you straight when there is ever any indifference, any question over what is the right thing to do, what is the impeccable action that I can embody, bestow, and share in this moment. The ring of light helps to keep us contained in that knowing of truth that is always rooted in love. Now, but if it becomes weakened, if it becomes distorted, unstable, if it gathers holes, and then allows for leaky energy to happen, for us to receive in information that is not in alignment with that knowing, with that nowing, with that beautiful gift of truth, of love, then the aspects become distorted and we become confused. Everything is energy, like attracts like, and we have free will. We have free will to choose in this realm, in this world, whether we are going to access love and light, whether we are going to access beliefs, reactions, responses rooted in fear. We have free will. And to understand deeper still that with every choice we make, we are either sustaining and nourishing the light body, the aspects of ourselves that keep us contained in the light, that keep our vessel attuned to all that is rooted in love and light, and to all that wisdom, to all that divinity therein. Yet when we make choices that are rooted in fear, that are rooted in lack, we feed the tar body, which is the light body's toxic twin. It is the aspect of ourselves that contains all of our fear, all of the toxic aspects and beliefs and ideas and notions that do not give rise to love, that in fact squelch love, and that make us afraid to choose love. And often these tar body reactions and responses are rooted in the stories we've been told about ourselves, in the experiences we've had where pain, where trauma, where violence, where things have happened to us, and we have yet to heal those aspects within ourselves. As we heal those aspects within ourselves, and we begin to learn that we have choice, and we choose love over and over and over again, using our spiritual will and accessing that spiritual musculature, well, that reinforces the strengthening of the light body. And what happens is that ring of light that surrounds you, that you've come in to this incarnation with, becomes strengthened. And that ring of light at once becomes a white wall of fire that you walk with wherever you go. And that white wall of fire is absolute clarity. It is pure. It sees through the veils of illusion. It sees through the veils of illusion that we even place in front of ourselves unconsciously, subconsciously, in that way where it is just a reaction. And so we begin to learn the subtleties of energy as we come turned on and awakened in our spiritual life. Thank you, everyone on Instagram, for saying hi and giving a wave. I'm so very grateful that you're here this morning. And thank you, everyone at YouTube. As always, I pray that everything I share here serves your path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. So let's take a moment And just take a breath and feel into this ring of light. And if this is something that resonates with you, allow it to be. Feel this ring of light. And generally, we might think that it is about a radius of about 3 foot surrounds us wherever we go. And the awakening and the activation, just the knowing that it is there for us, that it is actually an extension and a part of us, is what helps us come back into the center of that light. So again, energy protection is about maintaining that ring of light, maintaining that sense of sovereignty, that sense of not being restricted by the triggers, by the binds, by the stories, by the trauma, by the past aspects that keep us rerunning those aspects in the 3D grid matrix. We at once learn to use our energy in such a way that we choose love, we choose light, and we choose that love and only love aspect. The love that resides in the binary and the dual aspect of the 3D grid matrix. And then we use that love, we learn that language of light to go beyond the 3D grid matrix, to go beyond this labyrinth of collective consciousness that is through all time and space, made of all of our thoughts, words, deeds, actions, impressions, experiences. And we move into that heaven on earth realization, which is subsequently where we get to know thyself. It is the know thing. And ultimately it is the love. It is the gateway to love, to the 0 point, the singularity within our heart. And this, my friends, is where that freedom, that true ability to be in a body, to be in this world, but to not be of the world, exists and resides for each and every one of us. And it is a peace that is always here. Now, the God phone is ringing. Blessings, dear God. Hi. God says hi, everyone. Absolutely. Yes, we are discussing that. Thank you for reminding me. I will share that notion. Okay, we're going to read a little bit from A Course in Miracles. Much love. Namaste, dear God. God says hi. Thank you, dear God. Okay, so as some of you may know, I'm a student of A Course in Miracles, and the God phone rings on every 4D Trinity show and encourages us to read a little passage from some sacred text. Often it is A Course in Miracles or some other book. And it's interesting because God reminded me that in A Course in Miracles, there is a teaching that speaks to, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. Now, the truth is, we don't need energy protection. Yet until we get to that point of knowing that we are unfuckable with, we need energy protection, right? It is a 3D element of learning how to hold your space, again, in a sovereign way, to maintain that grace, that divinity, without it being thwarted by any outside forces that are not in alignment with that. So in my defenselessness, my safety lies. If I do not preconceive a threat, then I am not going to trigger all of those thoughts within myself that connect me through the grid matrix of collective consciousness with all others that perceive threats too. And so that's disbanded. I am not thinking that there is anything to fear here in this moment. And so there is only love. There is love and only love. And now obviously this takes practice. What the God phone is inviting us to read this morning actually is at the very beginning of the book of A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles, there's a lot we can say about it, but to keep it succinct, it is a mind training where we train the mind to think in a way of love over fear. And this itself gives rise to that NOWOSPHERE, to that knowing, to that truth within us. Oh, blessings. Thank you, Venus in the First. Thank you for hopping on. Can you please put God on speakerphone? That's a good one. We'll see if that may come to pass. I'm going to read now from the introduction of A Course in Miracles. This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, But what is all encompassing can have no opposite. So that's why we say when we get to that place that is beyond the dual realm of the 3D grid matrix, we are acting that plane of love and only love. And that is 4D consciousness. That is heaven on earth. There is no longer these polarities of light versus dark, this play and this dance between the two. We begin to fold and surrender to that grace that is in the now, that is always in the knowingness of who we are at our birthright. We are inherently that love without an opposite. Yet we come into this world as a body. This body is made of atoms, is made of energy. Everything we are taught in this universe is made of the same stuff. So in learning and recognizing that we are energy as this body, and that we are having an exchange of energy with all people, places, and things, we begin to learn there is a very great power in maintaining our abilities to sustain that love, to sustain that light. And I'll read just a tiny bit more. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And you know what we say here at this show, that God is not a person, even though it's funny, right? We have the God phone ring on this show, but that God is an experience that we have together. And God is that feeling realization of oneness. That's what we offer here in these teachings. God is that love realization and the shared experience of that. It is a word that we can point to that translates to a feeling realization of unity. It is without judgment. It is without fear. It is love and only love. So understanding this, that everything is an exchange of energy, and that we are intending to keep this ring of light that we are surrounded in, that grounds our knowing in that love, in that light, to sustain, to nourish it. Well, we know then that what we get to do is to have that regular practice of feeding the light body through our thoughts, actions, words, and deeds versus feeding the tar body. So what we say here is feed the light body and starve the tar body. And in that way, we nourish and we sustain and we reinforce our ability to show up, to be present, to surrender to that divinity that is in the now, that is the love. And remember, the now is spontaneous. It is happenstance. The now brings the miracle forth. We don't. We simply create the correct conditions for ourselves to be in the presence of those divine happenstance moments, those miracle moments. So in understanding this, we come to this idea of detachment. And I'm going to just flick through. I wrote so many juicy notes last night. So energy protection is really about us and where we put our mind. If everything in the universe is mind and everything in the universe is energy, well then where I place my energy and where I place my mind and my thoughts is going to have a direct effect on how I experience my reality here in this world, in this third dimensional experience of being a body on this planet. And so energy protection, first and foremost, as I want to share with you this morning, has to do with us mastering our minds, has to do with us being absolutely vitally aware of the words that come from our tongue, the thoughts that project from our minds as a constant, and especially those that are on repeat, that are perhaps grounded and rooted in past experiences that keep us bound to having the same experiences over and over again. We're becoming to realize in this collective that we live in a holographic universe, and we ourselves, our DNA, our direct network antenna, we are the interface. We are brought in, we are born with the ability to interface with this holographic universe. What we put in comes out, and we have free will to choose what that may be. Now, our ability to choose can be shrouded by the tar body, again, by those fears that can be unconscious, that can be subconscious, that are rooted from past experiences. And so that's why we heal our lives. We set forth on practices that help us to relax into the now moment so that we can broaden our expanse and our vision and our awareness, our ability to just be here now, to be present and available to that divine mystical download that comes in that happenstance moment to moment to moment. So energy protection, I'm going to invite you to consider that it happens, that it is strengthened Well, number one, what I want you to know is that you're always protected, and that really this idea of energy protection, again, is a third dimensional construct that is useful. Yet there is a point, as A Course in Miracles was saying, there is a point where we realize that actually, if it's not love, it's not real. And so whatever is in that unreal realm, yes, that can be threatened because it's not real, but love and only love is real. And love cannot be threatened. Love is what is real. And when we get down and when we surrender and we really allow that to be the truth, then the need for energy protection becomes relinquished, right? We move away from those dual aspects. But while we're in it and while we're working out those darker shadow aspects, those tar body aspects that keep us looped in the matrix, energy protection can be a vital component to understanding the play of energies in the universe and maintaining our sovereignty, maintaining a cleanly, hygienic realm that we sustain our impeccability through and to. So the best energy protection is to be in the now. And we do that, we know, by breathing, by relaxing, by being at one with nature. And I'm going to read a few more little notes here. Yes, we release the thoughts of the past and the future, all those that we're rerunning, that keep those reruns of the past going. And we allow ourselves to speak in the now, to speak in words in terms of the I am, and being mindful of what we place at the end of that I am sentence. And really, I am is enough to calibrate that knowing and that awareness of the now moment. Yet aligning our word and thought with those aspects that are really true in our hearts, that are always linked to love, that are always linked to that which nourishes and sustains us, is the truth. And one thing about energy protection, our intuition, two things aspect. Our intuition and our authenticity will keep us really rooted in what is true to us, will keep us safe and protected. For example, if there's a situation that you're invited into and your intuition is saying no, but you say yes, you end up saying yes. Well, what we're doing is we're not honoring our intuition. We're not honoring our authentic value and the truth within us that is always there, like Jiminy Cricket on Pinocchio's shoulder, guiding the right path, if you will, guiding that path of sovereignty, that path where we're not continuing to create karma and having to have lessons, where we can be free of the gravity of the grids that bind us into those realities in the 3D. And so first and foremost, we get to exercise, stop saying yes when you know it's a no to you. And this in itself will create profound change in your world. This is number one, being in the now, honoring your authentic self and listening and honoring your intuition and giving it a voice, giving it rise. And that in itself then collapses all those timelines of those variables of who you might be, of the situations you might get yourself into, by saying yes when you mean no. And it opens up a whole other realm of now, of knowing, of love, whereby infinite and eternal aspects can be birthed just by your choice of choosing love over fear. Now, I want to talk to you about detachment, because this is going to lead into Kali. You know, as some of you know, I wrote this book called The REIKI Apprentice. And it depicts a lot of things in my life. It depicts especially a 3-year apprenticeship I did with my Grand Reiki master, who is also a trance channel. And us as a group sat with her every week, and she dispensed and channeled divine, metaphysical, and multidimensional energy tools whereby we could learn how to be a master of our time and space. And a lot of these teachings are included and are the roots of what I share in the Grid Mind Science teachings as well. And a big part of our learning with this teacher came as a symbol. And I'm going to share this symbol with you now. It is 2 lightning bolts side by side. This is the detachment symbol. And what does detachment do? And this has to do with our energy protection. Detachment, this detachment symbol and this aspect of detachment helps us to remember who we are without those thoughts that want to be triggered. The detachment symbol helps us to stop the continuing thoughts that lead to that fear-based reality, that bring more of that to us. So we understand in the Grid Matrix teachings and in life in general, because like is like and everything is energy, what we put out returns to us multiplied. And so we begin to realize that if I stop thinking those thoughts, and if I stop saying those things that trigger, that make me think that I'm unsafe, that are rooted in fear and that require an energy protection, well, then I can be free from needing it at all. I can be free from triggering those thoughts that, again, connect me to the grid matrix. And so plug me into everyone else's thoughts, feelings, experiences of needing protection. Because again, what we put out returns to us multiplied through the grid matrix. But if I drop that, if I release that, and I learn to use my tongue and establish the language of light and strengthen my spiritual musculature, well, then we stop those thoughts dead in their tracks. And this links up with Kali as well. But first, I want to read from my book, just a brief few notes. So when you run the detachment symbol and call it into the space you are working, it creates the most protection you can ever ask for. Now, why is that? The premise of detachment is that it delinks you from all the judgments and projections you may have, hold, or contribute to life in general. So again, if life is just, if this 3D, this holographic matrix that we live in is made up of our thoughts about it, and what we put out returns to us multiplied. If I sense the moment that I'm going to be starting to react and respond from a place of fear, from those root thoughts that we know do not create safety for us, that we know do not provide that nourishment and sustainment of the love, of the knowing of that truth of who we are, the moment I hear myself speak that, or even begin to think that, I can run this detachment symbol. I can ask the universe, run detachment for me. And this symbol, how it works, is it is an energy metaphysical tool, and it only works for the highest good. Everything I share with you is not magic. These are metaphysical energy tools that the universe understands and knows and work on our behalf and for the highest good of all. Again, so that we can sustain that knowing, that relaxing in the presence of love and only love. When we ask the universe to run the detachment symbol, a ring of light activates from the outer edge of one foot, all around the entire body to the other foot. And it's like a sheath, an extra strengthening of a sheath in our aura that comes so deep into our consciousness that we become acutely aware in its light of those thoughts. And when we run detachment, we are stopping ourselves. We are stopping that chain of thoughts that will continue. Because we know where we put our energy is where our energy will be repeated. It will be multiplied. And so if I have one negative thought, one bad thought, one fearful thought, well, it's going to connect through the grid matrix with all other fear thoughts. And those are my fear thoughts that I've always had or ever had in my life through all time, space, and all dimensions. But again, those are those thoughts, those beliefs, those notions, those experiences that the collective consciousness has ever had. So we are plugging straight into that, which is that aspect that comes back to us and meets us. And so that fear is sustained. And really, we only need energy protection because we think that there's something to be afraid of. But fear, everything that births fear, is illusion. That's what we're here to share with you. It is not the truth. The truth is love. The truth is love and only love. Yet, while we're on this process of coming into really relaxing into that, to surrendering, to knowing that, right? We're in a body. We're learning about energy. The detachment symbol is something we can call in, and instantly it cuts the cord of those thoughts being thrown out, those extension, those belief waves, as Greg Braden and as Bruce Lipton calls them, and I call them the grid threads from our personal matrix. We begin to extend them as we have those thoughts, as we have those feelings, those reruns of those things of why we need energy protection, of how we're reacting or responding as our tar body in a situation. Really, it's the tar body. It's that shadow aspect that will love to keep the sustaining of the thoughts of thinking that there's something that we need to protect in the first place. But remember, our safety lies in releasing the need to defend ourselves. In our defenselessness, our safety lies, is what A Course in Miracles teaches. And so, detachment allows us to cut the cord before it even releases from our energy being and connects to even more of that stuff in the grid matrix. Because when we connect to that through our thoughts, actions, and words, that's what we're going to get back into us to have the validation of that experience. You see, that's why I need energy protection. You see, that's why this world is a scary place. You see, that's why we should be afraid of XYZ, LMNOP. And so we learn to sustain this, right? And the detachment symbol is a wonderful way, especially to drop the judgments, to drop those things, because really that's another aspect of energy protection. If we have a lot of criticisms, if we hold a lot of judgments, if we have a lot of polarity in how we see this world, well, that is going to weaken that ring of light that we spoke about at the beginning of this show, that ring of light that is our inherent birthright, that is that sustaining aspect that really comes from the truth, that 0 point in our heart that reflects and holds space for us as a light body in this world, to remember that nowing, to remember that knowing of who we are in that place. And now it takes practice. It definitely takes practice, but that is the path of self-mastery. That is the path of self-mastery. So this leads us into Kali Ma. Kali. Let's have a look at Kali Ma. Okay, now I'm gonna hold it up here, and I pray you can see her. I know there's some lights going on. And maybe you're familiar with Kali Ma. I'm just going to take a sip of water. There are so many stories about Kali. And if you get into Hinduism and the deities, you'll see that there are stories upon stories upon stories upon stories, and it's a rabbit hole that just keeps going and just keeps giving. And so an aspect that really struck me, and specific to the work we're doing here today with energy protection and understanding how Kali Ma can fit into this, and how we can actually access, and just by thinking of her, create the correct conditions to sustain that knowing, to sustain that place of knowing that love is the truth. And she takes it further. So again, I'm going to read a little bit. So Kali, she who is black, she who is blue in many art depictions. She represents in Hinduism the goddess of time, of doomsday and death. So what is doomsday? Doomsday is the end of time. And we know, or we're learning through these grid mind science teachings, that the grid is full of time. It's full of past and future. It's everything that we've ever thought of or done, experienced in the past, and all the things that we've ever thought of or conjured about our futures collectively in that grid matrix. Yet, Kali is the end of time. She completely collapses all time and all space so that we get into that place of no thing. She completely zeroes out on behalf of us those things that we think are real, that we've given rise to through our thoughts and our words. So she represents the death of that. Now, in many other aspects, she is an aspect of the divine feminine. There is sexuality. There is a wild rogue kind of aspect of her where she is that fierce warrior. She is that aspect of the woman, of the mother who defends on behalf of her child. And that is a fierce power. When Kali says no, she means no. And she will take it down to the point of zeroing it out, to the degree that we are ready to receive the zeroing out of whatever it is that we're working with to clear. Okay, so let's keep going. She is the backdrop upon which our consciousness lies, and she is also nothing. She is also nothing. Now, this is just so interesting to me because, you know, this nothingness, have you ever had that experience in your meditations, in nature, even at a rock show, whatever it is, where you just have this absolutely sublime realization that you are not a body, that time does not exist, and that nothing is really here? Have you ever had that experience? For some of us, that can be a really beautiful place to relax in. We learn to relax in that place. Yet, as to the degree that we're still believing that we are this body, and believe me, I know we're a body in this 3D. We learn how to master this, right? We learned how to master our personal matrix and move in the world, yet be in a body and not be of the world by bridging heaven on earth, by bridging fourth dimensional consciousness. Yet what we do is we realize that while we're in this body, we get to allow ourselves to have this full understanding on a spiritual path that we are actually not these atoms that make us up. We are not this body. We are, in truth, that love and that light which resides, that is the backdrop, that is the Kali, that is the blackness that we call light in our spiritual community, but is the backdrop to all of the thoughts, to all of the consciousness that resides. So Kali is that backdrop. She is the nothingness that resides before there is anything. It is the backdrop upon which things are placed. Our consciousness perceives through our five senses these realities. Now, at the same time, she is the end of time. And in many ways, she is all things. And the fierce power of her, and I'm going to phrase in my own words an aspect of the story that I really like about her is Rakta Bija. And it speaks to Rakta is blood and Bija is seed. And the blood seed speaks to, and I'm taking these words from a different teacher, the specific word, but it is let me just make sure that I get it right. Rud Chodroy speaks to that she is, and can I find it? Okay, Rakta Bija, the blood seed, speaks to the moment you have a thought that is evil and destructive, immediately you have another thought that is evil and destructive. And it keeps going on and on and on. And that is Rakta Bija, and that is that aspect in the grid where if we give rise to that fearful thought, to that polarized notion, to that tar body reaction, well, we're going to get more of that. We're going to say, yes, we're in agreement with that being a part of our reality. And so we're going to say, bring it on. Give me more reasons to validate that there is a reason why I need energy protection. And what does that detachment symbol and the teaching we just spoke about tell us? It tells us that, honey, the most protection we can need is the protection against our own minds, because that is where everything is navigated from, right? Until we realize and we drop that mind into the mind of the heart. There's an interplay, obviously, right, of mindfulness in minding what we speak, think, and act out in the world. And so we allow it to come from the heart. Yet, en route to that, there's polarity. We're in a body. There's life. There's life crises. There's things that happen in this world, right, in our lives that bridge us into that moment of making a choice. Am I going to choose love? Am I going to choose fear? Well, Rakta Bija speaks to this aspect that Durga, which is a really profound and another powerful deity. In my own words, I'm going to share this story. She was having a bad day. And she started to recognize that she was having these bad thoughts, these evil thoughts that were just, as soon as she'd have one, she'd have another. And these thoughts are represented by Rakta Bija. Rakta Bija, here is this headless man. Here is this headless person that she's also wearing a skirt of here. Well, Durga realizes that there's all of these thoughts, and that as soon as she has one of those thoughts, there's another thought, there's another Rakta Bija, there's another Rakta Bija. And she gets so aggravated that she realizes of and amongst her own powers, which are massive, she needs help. She needs more help to cut the cord of these negative influences. And so birthed from her being comes Kali. Kali with the tongue, Kali wielding this power and all of her being. And this idea is that Kali comes in and cuts the heads off of Rakta Bija, off of all of these seeds, of this being that is the aspect of these negative, these perpetual evil, not my word, but thoughts, right, that lead to more of the like thoughts. But what they realize is that as they decapitate the Rakta Bija, is that the blood is coming from Rakta Bija's head, from this decapitated being, and that with each then droplet of blood that is dropped, there's more Rakta Bijas. Each blood seed contains a Rakta Bija, and it gives rise and gives birth. And so what Kali does is she holds a cup. Sometimes it is a bowl. Sometimes it looks like a cup underneath the heads of Rakta Bija, and underneath all of the bloods that could be dripping, all of the new seeds that will give rise to that which is not in alignment with love, that is not in alignment with our full power and authority. And she collects those droplets so they don't reach the floor. Because as soon as they reach the floor, just like our thoughts, as soon as they stem from us and into the grid, boom, we're connected to more of that to get piped into us and into our reality. And so she collects those droplets, and she uses her tongue to wash away the droplets that have already become bestowed into the floor, into the space where we are. So this is powerful. And again, to the point. Why is Kali so powerful? Because she zeroes that Rakta Bija out to the point where there is no more Rakta Bija. She zeroes it out completely. And so that's why she is a powerful aspect, a powerful deity to call in, much like the detachment symbol, where she just, boom, cuts the head off and releases the requirement, releases the aptitude, the ability for those thoughts to keep being triggered, to keep going, to connect us to more of the light. She completely dissolves those aspects within ourselves. Now, she will help to dissolve those aspects within ourselves to the degree that we are ready to be freed and released from them ourselves. There's always that play, right? Yet the more that we call on these tools, this detachment, this aspect of releasing the requirement to continue repeating those thoughts, to the requirement to not listen to our intuition, where we take the tar body out of the driver's seat of leading, of guiding us in our life and our experience through believing in fear, through believing that we need protection at all. She zeroes out all of that. The detachment symbol stops us as well from thinking those thoughts. And so we can just sit in that knowing of being present, of being here now. And thank you again, everyone, for hopping on Instagram and saying hi. I'm so very, very grateful. And so we think about these aspects. We think about this is why Kalima is really powerful. And to go back a little bit, that knowing, that experience of I am not a body, that experience of, remember I was asking you just a few minutes ago, if you've ever had that experience where you realize you are not a body, where you realize you are spirit, you are not bound to this third dimension. There is actually so much more to you that is nameless, that is indivisible, and that is really no body and no personality, no thing. A student of mine once told me a story that she was having a bath, and in that bath, she was meditating. She had her candles, her crystals, and she got to such a deep point in her meditation. She was gazing with the candle, and she realized she became one with the candle. And the whole room, the bathtub itself, the shower curtain, everything just dissolved. And even her body dissolved. And she had this acute experience of no-thingness, of not being a body, of not being who she was, her name, her personality, her past, her supposed future. All of that dissolved. And she said she got really freaked out in realizing that she's nothing, that she's nobody, that she's even, on one hand, in the spiritual realm, we come to this I exist, and that is our allowing ourselves under grace to be in this body, in this world, but not be bound by it. And then the next level of that realization is like, I don't even exist. And she got into that zone, and she wasn't thinking, you see, and because there's no thinking in that realm, there's no mind, there is only feeling. And feeling, what I teach here, is not your emotions. Your emotions are created from your mind. Feeling, the only feeling there is love. That's what I'm here to teach. The only feeling that is true is the feeling realization of love. Well, she got so deep in that, and she then realized that she was nothing, that she was nowhere, that there was nobody here. And that brought her back into being in a body, being in the bathtub, being with the shower curtain and the candle and the crystals, and like, whoo, and she kind of got freaked out. And she told me, she says, that freaked me out to be so not here. Yet we have these glimpses, we have these epiphanies, these little spontaneous divine experiences of what that is when we're quiet, when we relax, right? When we forget who it is we think we are, when we forget that we are a body, when we forget all of this stuff. And of course, again, there's this divine merging and melding of all of these informations, because while we're here in this earth, we are in a body, but we learn to be in a body under grace. We learn that we are not these atoms. So we become less identified with the body. And when we become less identified with the body, and when you know you are love and only love, and that nothing real can be threatened, and only that which is real really exists, that's the point that we realize that true nature, and we disappear. The world changes form. It doesn't look the same as it does before. And then we can actually begin to have fun. We can begin to have that true experience of what heaven on earth is for you. Heaven on earth, what is that for you? What does that mean for you? It is freedom. It is sovereignty from all the versions of us that we think we are, that we've been told we are, from the stories, from our cultures, our societies, our parents, our friends, our families, the reinforcements in social media, all that stuff. And it's all fun and it's all light, unless it doesn't serve you, unless it deteriorates and serves to dissolve and weaken that ring of light that surrounds you, that reinforces the light body that we are, that light body consciousness. And so it is. So we're going to do a meditation this morning. And we're going to practice the 3-breath meditation. This is very, very powerful. And this breath meditation, what we're going to do is we're going to recognize it as a form of energy protection. Because often where we realize that we may need third-dimensional energy protection is only because there's been a displacement of energy. And in other words, we might think of that where we have given our power away, where we have said yes when we really in our heart mean no, where we have allowed ourselves to really act in ways that are not in alignment with our true impeccable self, with our sovereign true nature of who we're learning we are becoming. And so it's not that we're trying to protect ourselves from someone else or something else. It seems that way. But that detachment symbol, the Kali, this understanding our light body versus dark body, these polarities in the grid matrix, what we're understanding is I actually create that which I perceive outside of myself to be a threat. And so if I get right inside of myself, and if I establish the correct conditions energetically through my energy body, through my thoughts, through my words, my actions and deeds, my practices, well then that ring of light is nourished and is sustained. And again, it activates to become a white wall of fire. So wherever we go, we see with clear, we see with clarity, with purity, we see through the veils of the distorted lenses that we can carry. It's human. It's a part of our practice here, right? That we can carry in this world, and those things dissolve. And we then are relaxed and set back into the truth of our center, anchored in love, anchored in light. So this 3-breath meditation is about taking your power back. And what we're going to do, I'll describe it briefly, is we're going to go into our meditation. We're going to connect with higher self. And for the highest good, again, everything I share here, there is no force of will. It is only for the highest good of all. We are going to invite in 3 people or 3 situations, 3 things where we feel there's been a displacement of energy, where we've given our energy away. And how do you know? It's those people, places, or things that keep looping in your mind where you know you could have showed up in a different way. You know you could have gone that extra mile. You could have been more of your light body. You could have really honored your intuition more. But you decided, no, I'm going to say yes instead of no. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do this instead of that. When that Jiminy Cricket, that higher self, is always whispering in our ear to keep us in that sustaining of the light body. Well, 3 breaths, taking our energy back, calling in the higher self of those people, places, or things where there's been that displacement, of energy. And we're going to breathe our essence back. We're not taking away anything that is not inherently ours. And what is ours really? It is love. It is light. But where we have displaced and where we've thought there's been a threat, where we've perceived, where we've needed protection, where we've perceived a bad person, a dishonorable person, where we've held a grievance, we're going to go in there. And with the other person's higher self, we're going to take our power back and in essence, give them back to themselves too. And understand we're not doing this from a place of polarity because out of fear, because we're scared, because what is mine is mine. It's not like that. We are all one. We are all one love. We are all the one heart, the one love, the one soul, the one heart. And it is reestablishing, realigning that knowing through bringing us back, through breathing back those places where we've given our power away, where we have augmented our reality to fit the script of past fears and pains and trauma. What I'm going to invite you to do is to breathe, if it's comfortable, through your mouth. And I call it the spaghetti breath. If you know yoga and you know ujjayi, then perhaps ujjayi through the nose, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And the idea is to take your longest, fullest inhale and your longest, fullest exhale in this practice. We're only going to do 3 rounds. But the idea is we're going to call in the higher self of that other person and us as our higher self with our higher self. We're going to honor that other person, and then we are going to take our power back. We're going to reestablish love within ourselves by breathing in from their energy body. Everything that we've put there, all those projections, all those grids, all those threads, all those negative polarized notions and beliefs and actions that we've put into that person, place, or thing. We're going to breathe those back, and they're going to be reestablished into love and light. And then we're going to breathe back out anything that we've taken on from that person, place, or thing that causes that continuation of that disgruntled, imbalanced sense of that there's something that I need to protect myself about. We're going to breathe that back into that person, place, or thing. 3 breaths for each person, for each place, for each thing. Whether it is a person, place, or thing, there will be 3 aspects we will work with. So let's go ahead and set ourselves up. Get comfortable in your seat. Now you can recline too. Take a clearing breath. And as always, we enter the rose quartz crystalline cave to do this work collectively. And connecting with our higher self, we take a breath for body. Inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. We take a breath for mind. We take a breath for the emotion. And in doing so, we connect all of these aspects with spirit, with love. And we call in our higher self to hold space for us, the higher self, and for the highest good, we enter this domain now. As your higher self, see yourself in your heart, connected to source, to love, to light. Within this space, within your heart, visualize you are standing in front of a door, and you open the door. See your hand turn the doorknob. And we're going to go down 10 steps. There's a rail you can hold on to if you like. Stepping down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you enter this sub area, you begin to recognize a beautiful landscape of nature. And you see a powerful tree with beautiful shade and leaves blowing. Take a look around and find yourself sitting next to the tree with your back to the tree. And as you make yourself comfortable here, you see there are 3 stones to your side. And you see in each of these stones where it is that you can take your power back, where it is and with whom and with what you can do this meditation practice with. As your higher self in this meditation, pick up one of the stones and look at it and see whose face is on it. What situation, what thing is there? Take your power back and hold that stone in your right hand. And that person, place, or thing that comes clear, invite the higher self, the higher aspect of that person, place, or thing to sit in front of you. Let that come. And as they come, welcome them and thank them for being there. And now prepare for the 3 breath. Imagine your aura around you and their aura around them. Take a deep inhale through the mouth or the nose and begin to breathe your energy back in, that which you've given away from, that which you've given away to that person, place, or thing. Breathe it in from them. Fill up every part of your lungs, every part of your aura, every part of your being with light, with this energy. And at the top of that inhale, hold it a moment. And as you exhale, imagine giving back to them into their energy. Everything you've taken on from them. Blow it out and blow it out completely until your lungs cannot exhale any more air. And then do it again. Inhale, breathing you back into you, your essence, your love, your light, the truth that you are. Hold it that moment, fill up, and then exhale. Give them back to themselves. Whatever it is that you perceive that they are, the wrongdoing, the polarity, whatever it is, give it back to them. And in essence, you're really giving them back love and light also. One more breath. Inhale, breathe your power back. Breathe you back in from this person, place, or thing, and fill up, 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 up. And exhale. Everything out, completing that exhale. And the work is done. Take a moment to feel this stabilization. And in this meditation, acknowledge this person, place, or thing, their higher self, and say thank you. Placing the stone down, look to your side and gather the next stone. Look at the stone. Whose face, what thing, what experience, what situation is there by which you can take your power back? In this meditation, close your eyes as your higher self, call in the higher self of that essence that you're working with now, that person, that place, that thing. And when you're ready, inhale, breathe your power back, breathe your white light, your essence back into you from it. And fill up. Let that breath be slow, be full, be absolute. And at the exhale, breathe them back into them. Breathe whatever fear, whatever stuff that you created back into them, that it can be transmuted into that love and light. Anywhere that energy has been displaced, give it back to them. And again, inhale, breathe your love, your essence back into you from this person, place, or thing. Fill up, up, up. And as you exhale, give them back to themselves. And one more. Inhale. Breathe in. Breathing in your truth, your love, your light, your power, as it were. And exhale, giving that essence, that situation, that person, place, or thing back to themselves. At the bottom of that exhale, take a moment, feel the stabilization of this energy. And acknowledging the higher self of this person, place, or thing you're working with, and say thank you. And placing that stone down, take a look to your side and pick up that third stone, hold it in your hand and look at it. What is there? Whose face? What situation? What is there? Call in the essence, the higher self essence of that person, place, or thing to sit, to be in front of you. And as you're ready, inhale, breathe your power in from that person, place, or thing. Imagine the aura of that person, place, or thing, and all the ways that you've distorted the projection of yourself into it. Breathe that back into you, that it be transmuted and seated in love and light and truth. And exhale and breathe them, breathe that essence of whatever you think that is back into itself, so that it can be transmuted into its truth, its love and light. And again, inhale. Breathing in, and exhale. Giving it back to itself. And one more, inhaling your essence into you, filling up, and exhaling, giving it back to itself. And again, take a moment. Feel the stabilization of this energy. Acknowledge the higher self of that person, place, or thing, and say thank you. Now we're going to place that stone down, lean back into that tree a little bit, and from your heart say thank you for holding space for this exercise, for this practice. And gently stand up and walk back towards the stairs. And we begin to walk up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go through the doorway, come back into your heart, connected to higher self, and into your body, in the room or the space where you are now, and take another breath for mind. 1 for body. 1 for energy. 1 for emotions. Take a moment to open your eyes. And connected to spirit, connected to source, we are that love, we are that light. I pray and I affirm that this practice, that was very powerful. I'm feeling yoga high. How about you? I pray and affirm that these practices and everything I share here really serves your path of sovereignty and spiritual growth. And again, if you'd like to stay in touch, go to my website, tuesdaymaythomas.com. The link is at my homepage at Instagram, and the links are down below here at YouTube in the description box. And sign up for my monthly love letter. It's on the first page of my website. And there we can stay in touch. This weekend I'll be sending out my love letter, and included are unedited chapters of my upcoming book, Holy Grail Hologram. And I did actually, if I can find it before we wrap up, the subtitle to the book is pretty long, and I haven't learned it off yet. But you will receive free chapters, unedited chapters of my book, Holy Grail Hologram, subtitled A Lightworker's Guide to Understanding and Applying Metaphysical Principles for Multidimensional Healing and Ascension. It is so powerful. Everything I share here, I'm so grateful. Thank you, everyone who's hopping on from Grid Mind Science Land at Instagram, and also Grid Mind Science is now at Facebook and on Twitter. In 2020, I will be giving a talk, a presentation at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles on the Grid Mind Science teachings and talking about the film that I'm so grateful to be creating with Source to disseminate these teachings of the 3D grid matrix of this collective consciousness that we share, and how we are a part of that, and how we can learn to master our time and space within it, and ultimately know who we are beyond the grid, beyond the stories, beyond the pain, beyond everything. Healing our life, self-healing, is the path of enlightenment. Thank you everyone again for joining. I'm so very grateful. With so much love and so much light. Thank you so very much. Blessings and thank you.